Yes, I do. I need somebody to look
Those
for.
bears
But
are
yeah,
heavy.
Oakley's tagging along with us. So
Awesome.
that'll be fun. You get a little future
Preview.
glimpse into what your life's gonna look like.
Oh yeah.
JC,
Counting
did you
down
know
the
that
days.
Landon and Katie are expecting?
I do. I knew because when she was coming on our trip, she was like, I don't know if I can do this.
Oh
And I
man.
was like,
Was
oh, so
she
you're pregnant.
was she nauseous?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
How is
First,
she?
she's good.
Is she still nauseous?
No, that was like first trimester.
Yeah,
Oh, so you're
that's
No.
beyond that now.
a tough spot.
Yeah, she's almost 15 weeks now.
Dang.
Yeah.
Michelle, I wish I could say the same about her, but she had the longest first trimester ever. She was nauseous until about 32 weeks.
No.
Yeah. There were so many times we'd be sitting at the dinner table eating and like you would hear it like, oh,
I
like, uh-oh, it's about to
mean,
come up.
it hits every once in a while, but
It's not fun. Always have to have a cracker near you.
oh yeah.
Hers was
Cracker
crushed
near me.
ice. We would go
Oh,
to
is it?
QT and get the
I've heard that.
cup of crushed ice and she would just eat it like it's
Yeah.
water. And it blew my
It
mind,
is
but it worked for her. All right, so let's dive into some upcoming events we have so we can get this show on the road before this one takes longer than 2 hours. Um, we're getting ready to go into the garage sale. I'm pumped about it. I get to spend all day Friday with Landon. He's not going to want to go bear hunting with me by the end of that. But we got the Fish Around and Find Out event coming up July 18th. That's 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the store. We have our Whitetail Expo August 29th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Both of these are going to have tons of vendors, tons of tables, tons of stuff for people to come look at, not just our gear, but also connections to be made. I'm working on a couple broadhead manufacturers to be out there at that Whitetail Expo. That would be a lot of fun. Landon and I are actually super pumped about that opportunity.
Hmm.
And then October 10th, we have our Waterfowl Expo, which is right up Jaycee's alley.
We'll be there.
Oh, y'all gonna be there?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Awesome. I'll have to come out and meet you in person then.
Yeah.
But that's 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Same thing. All three of these expos are going to be vendors and people like JC just trying to get more people exposed to the sport. But come on out and check those out for a bunch of opportunities because
Hmm.
that's how Miss Katie found the Sisterhood of the Hunt opportunity, right?
Yep.
But on another note, we are back. We made it through episode 10 with Thomas. Episode 10 with Thomas. Barely. Have you seen some of those comments on the
Oh yeah.
Instagram post about
Yeah.
God bless you? You would have thought that we slapped Trump in the face. I mean, we're talking about heavy arrow setups, and people feel like I just took a dump on their religion. I
Yeah,
mean, that
one
was
of the
controversial.
I had a friend that messaged me that I met in the store, and he's like, mine's like 700 grain arrow.
He's throwing a spear. That's not an arrow.
Yeah.
That is a bullet.
Yeah,
That's
he's a big
ridiculous.
dude.
I get it. Certain spines weigh a lot, like Easton Axis 50 or 5 millimeters. Um, 260 spines, 11 grains per inch. It's heavy. It's if you cut it at 29 inches, that's 300 grains of just arrow.
Yeah.
You know, but we're not here to talk about that. Landon and I are joined by a special guest, Miss Jaycey Stone. Jaycey is a wife. Her husband is a pitching coach at Campbell
Yep.
University. Go Camels.
Roll humps.
She is. I haven't heard that one.
The camels, right? They're
Yeah.
camel.
She's a mama of two, a special ed teacher in high school,
Yes.
a hunter, more importantly, a hunter, and the co-founder of the Sisterhood of the Hunt, which we're going to dive into here in just a little bit. We're covering a lot of stuff today regarding females' presence in the outdoor world, introducing more females as well as hunters into the hunting world, outdoor world, what have you, fishing as well as removing as many barriers as we can barriers of entry as we can for new and potential hunters. So, with all that being said, Miss Jaycey, thank you for taking some time out of your day today. I know you were feeling unwell a couple days ago, so thank you for rallying to come hang out with us. I'm very excited for this conversation because it's something really near and dear to my heart. So, with that being said, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So, hey, y'all, I'm Jaycey. I appreciate you guys so much having me. I know I've met Landon a bunch of times coming out to the Charlotte store, which I'm so grateful for because I always need a Sitka near me. So, when I moved out here, I was so glad that it was within driving distance. Um, so, I grew up in Dallas, Texas, not Dallas exactly, but that's just what I'll say because it's so big. Um, I just grew up basically. I have a half sister, but I was raised like an only child. I spent a lot of time outside. I was that kid knocking on everyone's door, asking everyone to come play. Um, I would, I don't know, just be outside. I rode dirt bikes growing up. My dad, he is a mechanic for Harley Davidson, so he built me my own dirt bikes growing up.
That's cool.
I fished a lot. Was really into fishing, especially I got into high school. In Texas, they offer outdoor education as a class, so that was something I definitely wanted to do. Um, I had always heard about hunting and stuff, but I just couldn't get into it because none of my family did it, and I just always thought that that was something that you had to have family to get into. I went to college for education. I'm a first generation college grad, so super proud of that.
Nice.
My husband and I have been together since high school, and he played baseball at Dallas Baptist University, and he had some buddies who hunted, and so it's kind of where this falls into is he was invited. He also did not grow up hunting, so we have no ties to hunting at all. Um, Basically, my husband and one of his friends in high school or in college, we were just sitting at their house and he was like, "We're gonna go hunting this weekend. Like, Travis, do you want to go?" And I was just like, "What are y'all doing this weekend?" And so I basically invited myself to go duck hunting. And they were like, "Okay, well, you need a gun." So I was like, "Frick, well, I don't have a gun. Like, where do I go get a gun?" I didn't know anything about getting a gun. I don't know at the time. It seemed like impossible. I think I was 21, and or maybe I was 20. Gosh, I was, it was a long time ago. But my stepdad, he ended up letting me borrow his 870 for the weekend.
Oh boy.
Yeah, 870 pump, which I still have it here in this closet. I remember I was wearing jeans. I went to Academy and I bought those like tall boots that like clump up to your belt,
Yep.
belt loop. And I got a like Magellan camo jacket, like the most inexpensive thing I could find that was at Academy, because I was on that college budget, you know. And so, um,
$8 an hour.
yeah, literally, went hunting. It was freezing cold. I remember thinking nobody else here is wearing anything close to what I'm wearing. Um, I had such a good time, and I think we shot like 3 ducks between the 6 of us. But I was
Probably
like,
out there a
this,
while.
yeah. We were at this lake about an hour and a half outside of Dallas because, I was in a city full of 6 million people, so it's not the easiest area to go hunting. So I drove out there by myself and I met them up, went hunting, shot like 3 ducks. I think it was like 2 woodies and like a mallard hen or something. But I thought it was the most amazing thing in the world. I remember just thinking, wow, I think I just found what I'm like meant to do. And I don't know why. I just had like this confidence of this is what I'm going to do. Even my husband wasn't even that into it. But I was like, this is so for me. Um, Kind of going off of that, I was nannying in college, but I was looking for another job. And so I thought, what better place to get a job than Bass Pro so that I can learn
Oh,
from
you're one of
people?
those.
Yep.
Hey,
So, yep, I had to sell that dang credit card to everybody. But
That's
I
how
went,
Mike got started.
yeah.
I worked at Bass Pro too. That was
No
my
Oh, I didn't know
way.
that.
when I first moved to Charlotte. That was my first job. It was like,
Okay. I didn't
yeah,
even know there was
I
a
was in
Bass Pro in.
college.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The dang credit cards they have you sell.
So this is still in Texas though.
Yep. This was in Texas, so it was
I
the
bet
one at
Bass Pros are
Grapevine.
huge out there.
Yeah, it was the one at Grapevine. We had like a ginormous fish tank, and
Hmm.
every once in a while we'd have some teenager jump into it and
Hmm.
crawl out of it and bust their head open.
We
You know.
always talked about doing that at the Bass Pro in Concord. Like, I wonder what would happen. I'm like, I don't want to find out.
Oh, if they catch you, they arrest you.
Oh man.
We had a kid one time that I was working. We had a kid jump in, jump out, slip, and bust his head open. So he didn't get
Mm.
arrested, but he went to the hospital. So
Yikes.
not
Poetic
fun.
justice.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was like, I feel like there's a lot of knowledgeable people in this place, naturally. So I went and worked there. I started out in gifts. So I was the lady in gifts, just, like the gift section where there's the nice recliners everyone sits in for way too long, and buys all the candle stuff. Started out there. I became really good friends with all the guys in the hunting department because I had so many questions to ask them and just to learn from them. And a lot of them were like older. They were dad, like, they had kids my age and stuff or grandkids. And so it was really special just getting to learn from them. And basically, I learned that all the lakes around us in Dallas you could hunt on. You just had to get permits at because it was just such a crowded city. And so they would have like 500 permits at this lake and then 300 at this lake, but you could bring a buddy with you who didn't have the permit. And so that was really cool because that was stuff that I would not have known. So I learned from those people, and they would tell me, like, okay, this is the date you have to go online and apply for. I remember at the time when I was in college, the first year I applied at one of the lakes, it was an in-person draw. So you had to go, like, stand in line and wait. And I remember going to do that, and I was the only girl in this long line, and people are just like, is she here? Because her husband's sleeping or something, sleeping in. But I was like, no, I'm here for me. I'm trying to get myself a permit to hunt on this lake. Um, anyway, so that was really cool. Got my first shotgun at Bass Pro because we got like a little discount through this app. I don't even remember what it's called. Do you know what I'm talking about, Landon?
I do know, like, you get
It's
a
like
pretty good discount on like
all sorts of stuff.
Cabela's type stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So got my first shotgun there that I bought. And then, yeah, I remember just having the conversation with these guys basically at work. They were like, you should see if there's like a girls' Facebook, for hunting. And I was basically like, no, like I'm probably the only girl in the world who hunts. Because I never saw girls who hunted. And they were like, no, really, you should like look it up. And so basically I just went on Facebook and was like looking up girl hunting, blah, 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 and I came across a hunting page for women called Female Federation of Waterfowl. And so that's kind of where the journey started for the rest of everything. It's kind of crazy.
So that's where basically Sisterhood of the Hunt was born, was good old Bass Pro Shops in Dallas,
Yeah,
Texas.
it's crazy. Yes.
Do you ever go
Yes.
back and thank those old heads that got you pointed in that direction?
My when I eventually like went and worked and worked in hunting, my hunting manager, him and I got really close. I actually like watched his kids and stuff. His family's like super special to me. He doesn't work there anymore. Now he's in Missouri, like doing all sorts of land stuff, helping. I can't remember what he works for, but he basically like rehabilitates land and properties and stuff. But yeah, I talk to him all the time, and I'll send him and this old guy Kirby, who had like a cocaine afro, is what I kind of call it.
Afro.
He just cracked me up. He would always just hype me up every time I would like go hunting and stuff. But now I send him pictures of like me and the girls hunting, and he'll be like, "You guys need to be in a magazine."
You
So
gotta
yeah,
love people like that.
I do still talk to some of my buddies at Bass Pro, and every year when that family and friends discount comes out, my buddies from Bass Pro always text me. They're like, "I need a discount code," and so I'm like, "Yeah, I'll look you up."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what is Sisterhood of the Hunt?
Yeah, so I'll go a little bit even more into how this page helped me. So I basically went on this page and I met on there. It was at the time people were like introducing themselves, and so I was like, "Hey, I'm Jaycey in Dallas, Texas. I just got into hunting, blah blah blah." And this girl named Laurel York, she commented and was like, "Hey, like you seem cool. I'm gonna message you." So she messages me and she's like, "Hey, there's a girl planning a hunt in Arkansas. Like we should meet up there." And this was during COVID, like the shutdown. And I remember just being like, is that like a good idea? Just meeting up a bunch of girls with guns that I don't know, like 7 hours from home by myself, And I was like, that's kind of nerve-wracking. And anyway, I decided to do it. And the hunt, I think we signed up in like June of 2020, so like right after the shutdown. And then the hunt wasn't till December, but I remember telling all my buddies at work, like, oh, by the way, like I joined a Facebook, I'm going on a girls hunting trip. And just the closer I got to the trip, everybody was like, your trip's coming up. Like, are you so excited? And I remember being excited, but also like scared to death because I remember thinking like I just got into hunting, like, and I'm from a huge city. Like people hear Texas and they're like, oh, you're like a country girl, but you're like, no, I'm from Dallas. Like
Well,
these are
now
the
they think of 4-6's ranch.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I was just like, they're gonna think I'm a phony, like in it for attention, whatever. So I met this girls group, and I'm great friends with all these girls still. But I remember everyone was so cool. Nobody cared that I had just gone into hunting because Laurel had just gotten into hunting too. We both were introduced in college. And basically, one of the girls there was a videographer, and she did video and pictures, and it went viral. And the reason it went viral is because it was a bunch of chicks together hunting. And while I think that's really cool, the internet did not. They were like, I mean, we got so much hate. Like, it was like, oh, like nothing was shot that day. Look at them. They're wearing makeup. Their nails are done. Just, I mean, there were meaner comments, but,
I can only imagine.
and it went on for months. And so shortly after that, Laurel and I were just like, we should start a page to just like shout out girls who go hunting because it is so discouraging to like read the internet and what everyone has to say, like, and you'd be surprised. A lot of it was girls, like a lot of it was girls commenting, but for the most part, it was men, which I was like, why do men care?
Mhm.
Anyway, but so we started a page, Sisterhood of the Hunt, and we are just like, you know what? We're just gonna like keep going on girls hunts, like these one-off girls hunts that people plan and shout girls out who go hunting and have the courage. And so shortly after we started the page, that was in November of 2021, which is crazy. That's almost 5 years ago. We had some buddies start an outfitter in Arkansas. And we were like, it'd be kind of cool if we made a group, of girls to go out there. And what was one group of 10 girls in one season turned into 8 groups of 80 girls
Oh,
really
wow.
fast. Yeah, we had 80 girls, about 80 girls in the first season. And for the most part, we went to Arkansas for our first year. And so pretty much from there, we were just like, oh my gosh, like we have so much interest. We have so many girls who want to do this. And like, there wasn't, I don't know, from our perspective, there wasn't a ton of people doing it consistently. Like there'd be like one girls group, like, oh, we're going to do this in December, kind of like the first time I did it, where it was like just someone did it one time. But we were just seeing like so many girls who were interested in it, and there just wasn't like a gateway for them to go do it unless somebody was going to consistently do it. And so we decided that we were going to really do it and do it all over. And so that's basically how that started. But we're just basically, like, to sum it up, 2 girls who are fairly new to hunting. We've only been hunting for like 8 years now, 8 or 9. And I don't know, we just want to bring opportunity for women to go out and feel confident and not be nervous about their skill level or their experience. And then just having opportunities nearby them. That's why we really try and like branch out to different places in the US, because also travel is such a barrier for women. So yeah, we're just planning hunts and just want to have fun and learn and enjoy making friends from all over.
That's awesome. So it sounds like it's an online organization that brings this layer of community around hunting to the outdoors. So you plan
Yeah.
events all over the country to go through different species. Look, I'm by myself and I hit the table. I can't not
Yeah.
do it. Gosh. But you plan hunts all over the country and you go chase. I mean, what do you guys? Are you? Because I know you got in through waterfowl. So do you just chase? You got a turkey on your wall behind you. Do you just chase
Uh,
turkeys, birds? Like you
Yeah.
guys just went on pig hunts, right?
Yeah, we do everything. We pretty much do anything that you can do in a group setting. It's really difficult to do like big game like whitetail, or things like that, deer in a big setting because the whole point of what we're trying to do is like mend new friendships together and have community and connection. And it's really hard to do that when girls have to split up.
Yeah, you can't sit together.
Yeah, it's kind of different. Like it's different because when we have turkey hunts, we usually do like two girls and a guide. So those two girls can still connect and stuff. And then later people might be switching around and
Hmm.
you're moving a lot during turkey, when you're hunting turkeys. But with a deer, you could be sitting and staying by yourself all day. And so it's like,
Freezing your honey off.
exactly. So we just want to have like a meaningful experience for people, and I feel like that would be really difficult for us to do with
Yeah.
big game. But yeah, we do ducks, geese, dove, golly, everything. It feels like pheasant, turkey. We do bow fishing in the summer. We do inshore fishing. We just did our first iguana hunt last weekend. Let me tell you, the
Oh, I
girls
saw
ate
that.
that
That
up.
looked fun. Was that in
Yeah, the
Florida?
girls ate that up. I was scared. I was probably the most scared person there.
Why?
Because they're so fast and creepy. They're kind of like they lose their limbs and they
Spawn of
come back.
Satan.
Yeah. No, I literally was like, y'all, these things are demonic. They're
But they're
really
Did you
creepy.
go to Florida?
Yeah, we did.
They're everywhere.
We're like,
It
there's more of them than squirrels in Florida in people's yards.
Yeah, that's nuts. Not no pun
They're
intended, but that's
huge. Some of
wild.
these things are ginormous. Like
Yeah,
they're, yeah, no,
but that
these
would be
girls
a
were
lot of fun.
warriors. Yeah, these girls were like black ops, like with these airsoft guns. They looked so cool.
Were
You'll
they
probably see.
airsoft or were they pellet?
They were airsoft guns
They
or
were
air
shooting a
rifle.
I
Yeah,
was gonna say,
yeah.
dude,
Sorry, no, air
you're gonna
rifle.
get some old man that does this as his hobby. He can play pickleball or he can hunt iguanas in the canals of
Yeah,
Florida. You're gonna get on his bad list. Talk about bad comments.
yeah, yeah,
Don't
yeah.
even know
I
the
know.
way around a rifle.
Yeah, no, it was so fun. It was really fun. Like, and you had to shoot them so many times for them to die. Like, it was. Oh, they'd come in the boat.
Count
We'd
me
take them
in.
around. Yeah, yeah. So we do pretty much everything. We haven't gotten to the python snatching yet, but one of us is gonna have to be the brave one, and we're both doing nose goes right now. Yeah.
I put
You got any
Laurel.
desire? You got any desire to do that, Landon? I got
No,
none.
I do not
Yeah.
like snakes.
A
I
good
don't
snake
know,
is a dead one.
but amen.
We follow the old rule of when you catch a black snake, throw it under your house.
Yeah.
And we did that, and I caught one right before we had some crawl space work done, and I threw it under my house, and I didn't I forgot to tell the guy going under the house, and he
Oh,
found it. All of a sudden you hear like, oh, bleep, and from inside the house. And but anyways, so how do females specifically get involved? Can anyone apply? Can anyone reach out through the website? Like, how does this
yeah.
process work?
Yeah, so basically our website's huntsisterhood.com, but we have an Instagram, we have a Facebook, we have a TikTok, although we're not really good on TikTok. That's just a whole animal. But
That
girls
doesn't
can
seem like the crowd that you want to attract either.
no, not really. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people on TikTok, but it's like so much the younger generation, and we're trying to get the younger generation in, but I feel like a lot of these I don't know that a lot of people are really utilizing TikTok in the hunting space as much as other apps like YouTube and things like that. We really need to get a YouTube. It's just so much work, y'all know. Y'all
Well,
know.
Landon's real good at it. He's got
Yeah,
120,000 subscribers on YouTube,
that's
so
so impressive. Yeah, I'm subscribed. Um,
his
yes,
content's pretty good. I'll give him that. He's pretty
it is
good.
pretty good. I like the turkey hunting stuff. That's
We're
cool.
getting there.
I can't wait to see our bear hunt on there.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fun. Seeing Landon shoot one from 110 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, like, growing up, I used to buy like DVD. I was obsessed with buying hunting DVDs. So I would like Dad would take me to Walmart and I would buy like the Primos, Real Tree, Monster Bucks. And like every Sunday on the outdoor channel, like there would be hunting on. That was like the only time I could like watch hunting. And there was only like Tiffany Lakowski. She was like the only female that I knew that really hunted. Like, and the only reason she really, you know, in my eyes, was on because she was just a pretty blonde girl and her husband killed giants. So like
Mm.
I really didn't know like growing up any females that hunted.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really cool like you guys kind of like Thomas in our last episode like found the hole in the industry and
Yep.
have hit it.
Yeah.
And
Started targeting it. Yeah.
and you can like social media now. You see so many women hunting. It's just changed a lot. So
It
First
is.
form's covered with it. Like the first form
yeah,
outdoors,
Oh, yeah.
it's slap covered.
Shoot, yeah.
The only like outside of social media, the only female hunter that I've ever run into, like legit hunter, I was packing out of this absolute hellhole in Colorado. We hiked in the night before. It was like 5.5 miles to this specific little point on the map. And I was like, no one's going to be back here. No one's got the balls to come back here. We get there, slap covered up. There's people everywhere. There's muzzleloader hunters. There's little orange hats. We hear rifle or muzzleloaders popping off left and right. And I was like, boys, I'm wrong. Tomorrow morning, we're going back. We head back the next morning, and I run into this woman coming in. She's on horseback. And she
Mm.
was like, those packs look heavy, boys. You get one? And like, that's the worst coming from someone on a horse. You're dying, your feet hurt, you're malnourished, is to tell this person no. And I got to talking to this female a little bit, and she is a beast
Love
of a
it.
woman, just out there on her horse. They were talking about the bull they killed during muzzleloader season already, and they were actually going into this particular area to scout for rifle season. And I was like, Can you teach me? Can you teach me how to do this thing?"
That's cool.
But that's, I mean, that I think that's important. So I think what you guys are doing is extremely important
Yeah.
because Landon and I know we had an episode with Corey Oakley a few weeks back, and he laid out some stats, kind of like how everything that we enjoy doing from a outdoor hunting perspective is managed through NC Wildlife. Some there's federal, some like the elk are managed by the North Carolina Wildlife, but they're also managed by REMF. So there's some other entities involved, but it's mainly our state wildlife jurisdiction. So people don't understand this. If we want to enjoy this for years to come, and we want future generations to enjoy this for years to come, licensed the number of licensed hunters in North Carolina matters tremendously. So what Landon and I learned is tag sales contribute, license sales contribute to making sure that conservation efforts are upkept. But more importantly, lifetime license holders is the number one factor that jurisdicts how much money we get from a federal standpoint for conservation. So let's say, well, first, a lot of people, especially if you're an elk hunter, you think that there's more and more and more people getting into elk hunting every single year, and that's wrong. There's a decline of hunters all across the country, more importantly in North Carolina. Fishermen are increasing, hunters are decreasing. And that's not good from a conservation standpoint because like I said, the direct number of lifetime license holders in the state of North Carolina depicts how much money we get from a federal standpoint. But the money that we get from a federal standpoint, because of the Pittman-Robertson Act, all this money goes into an endowment fund. The state can't spend that general principal amount, but they can spend the interest on the account. And like, for example, Hurricane Helene comes through, wrecks all the trout streams up in the northwestern part of the state. And now the state, because of this endowment fund, was able to buy a $50 million trout hatchery in order to replenish future spawns of trout that would have been wiped out no matter what. So people don't know that in addition to that, so we got the federal fund coming in, but then we also, I might be butchering this by the way, we also have like Sitka gear. Landon and I work for Sitka Gear. Whenever Sitka manufactures clothing, whether it be bibs or boots or clothing or anything like that, they pay a tax that also goes to the state for eventually for conservation efforts. When you buy a bow, when you buy a fishing rod, all of that stuff, when it's manufactured, there has been a tax paid to conservation efforts, which is really cool. So people don't
That's
think
really,
people that are on the fence of getting into hunting, getting into the outdoors, heck, when you buy tents, it goes to it. So if you're on the outdoors, I think it's more important than you realize that you actually take the step and you get involved in organizations like Sisterhood Hunt, or you just get a good mentor. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute, but get a good mentor and figure out the game, because you're helping way more than you realize.
yeah.
Um,
Amen.
but all of that, what do you think? Because we just had, hey, get into the conversation or get into the field and figure this crap out. What do you think holds women back from getting into hunting?
Um, I think the number one thing we see is just the lack of confidence. Like the amount we have a lot of girls who come with us. I think we average like 100 to 120 girls per year come with us, but we message back and forth with probably 500 plus girls a year.
Wow.
Yeah, like
So you're at about a 20%
yeah.
pass-through
Oh yeah.
rate. Yeah.
Right. And so we also only have a certain amount of spots too, like, and majority of the time, most of our spots book up. So but we do have a lot of girls who just don't book, which is totally fine. But like, you can just tell in the conversations, like, oh, but like, what do I need? Or like, I just don't know. Like, I've never done this before, So I think that's the number one thing that holds people back. And along with that, like, the confidence could be just because people who I know will, be confused at why I'm trying something like this because the lack of experience. And then, yeah, just not having what they need, or, they just they don't have the gear they need. They don't have whatever weapon they need to use. And those are things that like we're trying to work through and like provide to girls and work with brands to provide. Like, for example, a lot of girls, they don't know anything about ammo, but they could like borrow someone's gun. Well, now we like work with Migra Ammo to provide ammo on our hunts, which is like we're super grateful for, because those are things that like we need to have for girls have to have, but they might not know like what shot size they need and things like that. And they might not even want to ask. And so trying to combat just having that so that they don't have to be like, oh, like what the heck do I put in this gun? You know what I mean? So for sure, lack of confidence, and then just knowledge in general, not having the knowledge that they wish they had. So, but I'll just say, like, when girls do come, like, it's like a complete 180. Like, they now feel more confident. They've definitely learned something. I mean, they've definitely learned a lot. Every single hunt. I mean, I just told y'all I went iguana hunting for the first time, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know anything about this, and so now I know all about it. So you learn a lot. And so I think just trying to, when we're talking to these girls, give them the confidence, and then connecting back, like letting them know that me and Laurel, we didn't grow up doing this. And so that I think is like a plus and like advantage that we have, because we can tell them like, we don't know everything. Like, we're still learning, but we have come so far. Like, I hate to even say this, but like people think I'm like an expert. They just look at my Instagram and they're like, "Oh my gosh," but like I didn't grow up hunting, and it's just that I've had a lot of experience and like opportunities to go, and I've documented it, but I'm nowhere close. It's just funny when people be like, "Wow, so like you and your dad must have." And I'm like, "Me and my dad have never been hunting." Me and my grandpa never been hunting. No uncle, no brother, nothing. And so just sharing that with girls, they'll be like, oh, like, wow, that's crazy. And like, look at y'all, So we're like, yeah, this could be anybody. You just have to like take that leap and have the courage to go one time. And then you're going to be like, oh, this is so fun and chill, you know? So yeah, that's what I'd have to say.
I mean, I think you bring up a good point. I think that's anybody, right?
Yeah.
I had a conversation that we'll dive into a little bit more. What I'm finding more and more and more is people don't like feeling less than.
Yeah.
So like I don't know how to, I have a bow and arrow, but I don't know how to tune it, or I don't know how to shoot it. Nobody's ever taught me. Like I think out outside of women alone, I think anyone could benefit from just putting their ego aside
Yeah.
and saying, "Hey, I don't know how to do this. Can you
Right.
teach me? Can you point me?" Even if someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to get into hunting. I can't afford going on a trip with you. Can you point me in the direction of someone who can teach me how to do this thing?"
Right.
Um, and from like a keeping the sport alive perspective, I think that's way more important than people realize.
Yeah.
And like, there's a lot of misconceptions around hunting in general. Like what you said, you have to have family to do it, or you have to have land out your back door. And that's so wrong. Landon
Mhm.
and I talk about it all the time. Like what we want to bring to people is ability. Like that you can teach someone, or you can give someone a fish, or you can teach them the fish mentality, and they can, feed them for a lifetime.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing here. And it sounds a lot like what you're doing there. But what other misconceptions do you hear about women in hunting?
Well, the number one we hear, because, and I kind of shared about it earlier, is like the fact that social media is available. People just assume that girls are doing it, for the attention. While we've had some girls who that's obviously their intention, 99% of the girls who come just want to have fun and learn. And so that's definitely a strong misconception that people have, but also people just assume that girls can't do it. And like you were saying, you saw a girl on horseback. I mean, I would have also been like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. But it's like unfortunate because the stereotype is that a girl can't do it on her own. And
Yeah.
so just like learning, like we've talked about this before, just like having failure is what's going to help you learn. Like I don't know how many times, like just having failure with walking into your spot. I mean, wow, now I know how to really pack next time because I just busted my butt in my waders in in this pond. Just things like that. Like you learn every time. No matter
Hmm.
how experienced you are, you're gonna fail. You're gonna miss shots. Like you guys are bow hunters. I mean, I've missed turkeys with a shotgun. So like you're going to miss
Same.
sometimes, and you're gonna have to have that like that grit, that grittiness in you to be like, okay, what can I do next? And so that's like with regular sports, you played sports and I played sports growing up, but like you're gonna fail, and it's the same thing here in this sport of hunting. You're just gonna have to realize that you've got to take something from it every single time to be better. And that's how you're going to grow as a hunter.
I think just from my own personal experience, like we're all human. We're gonna fail the same way.
Amen.
You could be a bow hunter too, and you're gonna the first time you pull back on a buck like me, you could shoot him in the nose zone. It's the same failures,
Mhm.
just different gender.
Yeah.
But like, do you think just from being outdoors, like I know how I feel when I go outdoors, I know my stance on conservation. Do you think that women offer like a particular view on conservation or just the hunting industry that men maybe overlook?
Um, it's tough to say because I think there's certain types of people with both genders. Because like for example, like this there's a mindset that like we're totally completely opposite of. Like we've seen a lot of men who say like, oh, we don't, like nobody should get into hunting unless they were, raised to do it. But we've also seen a lot of women who are like that. Like they were raised to hunt and stuff, and they hate seeing new women get into it. And so I think
That's
like
messed up.
that's a bad mindset, and like we've heard that come out of people's mouths. And I'm just like, well, for the sake of our freedom to hunt and conservation, like we need to have the opposite mindset like we were talking about earlier, but also like I don't know about you, but being in this space, I've come across a lot more women than I thought that are working in efforts for conservation. Like I see a lot of women who are putting on like big events and fundraisers and things like that. That is like such a, like men can do a great job as well, but women, like that is like party planning. Girls are like meant for that kind of stuff. And so seeing like, for example, there's not an NWTF chapter the last I think 10 plus years in my county here in North Carolina. Well, nobody else wanted to do it. They were sending out texts. Our regional guy was sending out texts to just everybody who's in this region, like, can someone please help me start this? And so me and my girlfriend started it this year, and we raised more money in our first banquet, which we started 3 months after we opened the chapter, than the last chapter had ever.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, so it's just, I think that women have a heart to like fundraise and things like that. Men I think biologically are just built more physical to like do the physical work and stuff like that. But
Dig
women,
ditches and
yeah, women are
cut
so
trees
behind the
down.
scenes. Yeah, women are so
Yeah.
behind the scenes and have passions for things like that. So I think I see a lot of that, you know, when I go to like the NWTF show or at Delta or Ducks, where I'm like, dang, there's a lot of women putting this thing on, and they
Mhm.
really care about it. They want to do a good job and things like that. So that's pretty neat.
And I also feel like from like a physical standpoint, like you just said, I feel like men just want to be told, "Hey, go pick this thing up and put
Right.
it over there."
So true.
Like, let me show you how strong I am. That's how
Yeah.
it is in my family. Like,
Yeah.
where
Right.
I just so happen to be an engineer, so I'm a very organizational person. Like one of my favorite things to do is design and execute like competitions at the gym and like do the
Yeah.
planning behind it. And at the end of the day, people are like, "Oh, that ran so smoothly." And it's like, I'm out there strutting like a peacock. But I more so appreciate it when I'm at home and my wife's just like, "Hey, go do this thing. Like, I need you to do that." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, let's." So that role allocation makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Um, and I also think that like you guys are thinking more logistically than men would. You guys being females, like men are
Yeah.
thinking we have to build this dam, we have to plow this field. We think because you ask me, one of the missions behind the podcast is improving conservation efforts and bringing conservation awareness.
Hmm.
You ask me what that looks like. I'm like, we're going to meet at this public land and we're going to clean up this and we're going to do that. We're not thinking about raising money. We're not thinking about this. I'm thinking about how can I loan my skill set to the
Yeah.
betterment of these habitats instead of what agency needs funding? Where can we send people to serve and do X, Y, and Z? I honestly, I never even thought about it that way until you said that. So that was a really good insight. Good job.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
So with the speaking of getting out and using your skill set, with the growth in the iPad child,
Mm.
why is it important not just for kids to be exposed to outside, but why is it important for mom to get out and do things like
Oh
this?
yeah. Okay. You guys all know you have wives, and you have
I'm all ears on this one. I'm about
Katie
to
is
learn.
already out doing it all, but
She asked
like,
the other
you
night at the
know,
shop if there was anything for kids, if there was anything
Yeah.
Sitka gear, if there was anything for kids, and I was like, not for a long time, Miss Katie. You
yeah,
got a
Yeah,
ways
you
to
gotta wait
go.
about 7 years for that.
we
Yeah.
need to just get in those people's ear about that. Yeah, but I don't know, just like, you know, the typical like, oh, like I go out hunting, my wife stays home with the kids. Like, I feel like that is such a like a traditional mindset, and like it is a reality because a lot of men who go hunting, like their wives are not, you know, they're the homestead, and they raise the house and stuff like that. But like, what better way to like get your wife into hunting so this can be like such a family fellowship thing? And then, you know, like if you are spiritual, you can talk about God's creation, and like that can be like a learning moment for your children, and to appreciate, you know, like where we came from and why we're here and things like that. um but I don't know, I just think like women especially, like, because we are that homestead, like, I don't know, like there's different way people lead in the household, you know what I'm saying? And so I think it says a lot when mom wants to go do this outdoorsy thing with dad, and that'll encourage these kids who, when they're at school and they see kids who all have their own phones or their iPads and stuff, they can share stories, you know, not like, oh, look at this app I have on my phone. You know, they're like, oh, like I went out and I killed a big deer with my dad this weekend. Like, look at this crazy picture of it. You know, and like those are the things that get people. I mean, going beyond hunting, get kids talking again.
Mm.
I'm from Texas. I live here now, but they just did a ban on cell phones in public schools in
Let's
Texas. And
go.
when I tell you that my friends were like, all the kids are talking to each other at lunch.
Yeah.
Like the teachers were like, this is crazy. Like nobody's making TikToks during lunchtime, you know?
Nobody's dancing.
Right. It gets just kids able to talk to each other, which is like a skill you need to have. Well,
Yeah.
now we're just on the rise with especially from COVID, you know, like mental illness and like just people having depression and stuff. Kids can have stories to share with each other, you know? Like same thing with women, like I don't know, we're just in a day and age that like your phone is in your hand all the time. And so
Yeah.
like why not use your phone to share what your memories look like that weekend, you know, like I know that's what all these girls from my iguana chat's blowing up right now because they're like, my
My
coworkers think I'm so
iguana
cool.
chat.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They're like, my
That's
coworkers think
good.
I'm incredible for slaying these iguanas. I've been showing them pictures all morning. You know what I mean? So it's just important, like people skills. Like these kids need to have people skills, and like how are they going to do that if they're looking at a screen all day? You know,
Yeah.
like and we talk about like school smart and street smart. Well, I'll tell you, I was not school smart. My kids are going to be school smart. I can tell they got their daddy's brain. But I was street smart. I don't know if it's because I grew up on like dirt bikes or whatnot, but and
Running
outside.
around the hoods of Dallas.
But
Yeah.
but like that's what kids need is they need to be like street smart, outdoor smart. Like they have to have these skills that you can't learn in school.
Hmm.
You know, like luckily being in from Texas, I got to learn some school, you know, like I got to learn what a bolt action rifle looks like and just like all these things that traditional schools don't teach, but I was just lucky because in Texas, like outdoor education is something they really value. And so I got to learn that stuff in school, but like most kids don't get to do that. So we need to do what we can at home. And so it all just starts with that. Like get your wife hunting, get your sister hunting, get everybody hunting. Fishing, like doesn't have to be hunting. Just go outdoors and do something.
Be
Yep.
active out there and do it the right way. Get a
Yeah.
tag, buy a license, get your gear from Sitka. Just saying.
Amen.
And
Amen.
and contribute back to why we love this so much. You brought up something good, and it reminded me of this. This. Have you ever read the book The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter?
Oh, no, I thought you were about to say something different. No, I haven't read that one.
You thought I was about to say The Case for Christ.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly.
I've read that one by Lee Strobel. Great book.
Yeah.
But The Comfort Crisis. This is a book basically uh, a very zoomed out view of what we're talking about here. This guy he's a journalist or he's a columnist for this. I can't remember if it was a magazine or something out in California, but he gets linked up with a guy named Donnie Vincent. And do either one of you know who Donnie Vincent is?
A brew.
Donnie Vincent is the man.
Okay.
He is he's a beast of a man. Like
Mm.
in my opinion, he's more of a beast than Cam Haines. Because this guy's he's not a marathon runner or anything like this. He does all of his stuff out in Alaska and he is just a tough dude. He takes Michael, this little California guy, out to Alaska for the Great Caribou Migration one year, which is 33 days of hunting. And you don't know how long you're going to be out there. The weather's terrible. You know, you think you're going to die basically every week. And this book outlines the process of which that he goes from California boy to breaking in his boots and his pack and training and dieting and all this stuff. The boredom, the mental preparation, all that that goes into him killing a caribou, a giant caribou, in Alaska, in the tundra of Alaska. But one of the things he talks about is the importance of putting people in nature. I'm not going to try and even remotely quote his statistics, but there were studies done that he cites in the reading in this office building in Japan. And people, it was like people that had no green in their office, people that had a plant in their office, people that had a window looking out into the forest, and then people who would take an X amount of minute walk out into the
Yeah.
park or whatever during lunch. So it was four main categories. And it's no shock, it's no like, astounding thing that the people that would go walk during lunch for 20 minutes out in nature were on average much more satisfied with their life than the people that didn't have any greenery in their office. And it was a sliding scale from there. It was like if the outdoor people are the highest, the people in order of exposure were the least satisfied with their life.
Wow.
And I think we're living in a world now where we're competing with immediate gratification. We're dealing with immediate dopamine hits with YouTube and TikTok and all the video games and the iPad and things like that. I think one of the major things that we can do to save our kids is get them outdoors more, but more importantly, get them outdoors with mom and dad.
Yeah, for
Because there
sure.
is nothing more that you can, like, mom and dad are supposed to be heroes. They're supposed to be guides and mentors and examples. But like, I remember looking at my dad when I was a kid. He was my hero. He was He-Man. The first time he picked up a fake sword and yelled, "I have the power," I was like, that's him. I don't need to imagine, that's him. And I think spending that time, my dad wasn't a hunter either. He was a butcher though, and he cleaned up plenty of deer. Seeing my dad at work, seeing my dad build things, seeing my dad plow fields and things like that, he was my hero. And I think this is a great opportunity not only to get your kids out and, vitamin D exposure, and I'm not even going to the health benefits of it, but getting them out there with mom and dad is just building I hate to say it, it's building a stronger nuclear family. I know
Yeah.
that that's a controversial topic right now. I don't care.
Well,
It is
statistics show
building
that it is healthy.
it is building a healthier family atmosphere. So if dad's a hunter, great. Maybe let mom tag along. I would kill to have my wife tag along on an elk hunt with me or a whitetail hunt. She would hate every minute of it, but I would love it. And that I think that just doing things together, like I have all of these mountain displays up on my wall that my wife and I have climbed together. We've done all of those hikes together.
Oh,
And that's like, we've taken my kids on a couple of them. Oakley's going to go with me soon on that trip to Virginia. And I think we're talking about Angel's Landing with our son now, and he's getting pumped about it. Every year I go elk hunting, he packs his bag and puts it by the front door. So like he's going. It's one of those things that the more you talk about it, the more it's like faith, right? We're Christians. The more we talk about our faith, the more curious the kids are going to be about it because it's a regular thing in our life. We don't have to force it later because it's regular. Same thing here.
mhm.
If I leave middle of October, contrary to what Rupert says, to go hunt over acorns, he's going to know every October we go hunt acorns.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I constantly think about being on this side of Sitka gear now is like the the nation, like not the nations, the products specif specializing in female or unisex gear. So you have unisex, that's both sexes, and then you have female derived gear.
Oh yeah.
Being a female and getting into this, you said your first experience was not fun because you had the wrong gear.
Amen.
What has hunting gear industry improved on that, or are we still favoring the male? Or and I have somewhere I'm going with this because my own personal family dichotomy here, but I want to hear your perspective
Yeah.
being a female hunter on the industry standard for female hunting gear.
Yeah, so I definitely think things have gotten better. But also like the brands who do it best, like Sitka, some things you know, have stayed the same in some areas because it's working well. I remember when I worked at Bass Pro, I didn't know anything about camouflage. I got the like 45% off the brand and everything, and but I do remember everyone being like, "Oh, Sitka, like the in the camo section, Sitka is like the best," And I remember being like, dang, like I don't at the time I was thinking, like this isn't something I can do at the moment, but I remember being so influenced by my peer or my coworkers at Sitka or at not at Sitka, wow, I wish, at Bass Pro, when they were saying like it really is the best gear. I remember going on Facebook and I found like a Sitka buy sell trade page, which I'm
Oh
on like
man.
all of those. I'm on like the Sitka Fanatics page and everything. But I remember like some of my first pieces of gear were used Sitka items, and I still remember being like, I can't believe how well this is working.
Yeah.
And so I still have some of it. Like I just don't get rid of it. But I definitely think that women's stuff is getting better for from, like for the most part, I think a lot of brands do struggle just because women are built differently than men. Like I feel like men have like I mean most men I feel like just have like this similar build. Like it
We're
just
built like tree trunks.
yeah, it kind of just depends like your height, right? But women, because we have different features, and people, it's just hard to size that. And I know it does get expensive. Talk to some of your people about it, just how expensive it can be to like come up with new product and everything. But Sitka makes some of the best women's gear I've ever seen. It's all I own. Like the Cadence pants. I mean, I feel like every girl I know owns the Cadence pants, and I have them in every single color. That way um, I can have my solids. Like I do have moods when I'm hunting where I'm like, I'm wearing solids today. Like I am not wearing a print. I'm gonna be in this blind. I'm gonna wear solids. Like solids are cool today.
There's the difference between female and male hunters.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
We don't
And then you
we
got the
don't
girl.
organize our outfits. We just slap it on and go.
Yeah, and then you got the people who don't match camos. I am such a matchy girl. Like I want my camos to match.
Yeah.
So then
I'm a
yeah,
solids girl, so it's okay.
yeah. I'm a solids girl a lot of duck season. I don't know. I think it's just because I'm like in a blind most of the time. So I'm like, it really doesn't matter as long as my head is down. I mean, I feel like I have everything. We're moving houses and I just packed up all my camo yesterday and you should see the amount of hangers in my camo closet. It's crazy.
I'm
Um,
impressed. I'm running
I'll
out
tell
of
you,
room too.
I'll tell you a funny story really quick, just because I tell everybody this because it makes me laugh so hard. A couple of Travis's pitchers, so they're college age, they hunt, and I remember I was out of town. I think I was in Alaska when this happened. He had a Bible study at our house. Um, anyway, couple months later, I go hunting with one of the players because they're like, I really want to go duck hunting, blah blah blah. So we went duck hunting, and he was like, yeah, when we were at his house, y'all's house for the Bible study, Coach Stone showed us your hunting closet. And I said, boys, you'll have no idea what's in this thing. So I was laughing because he was like, you have the best camo, you have every color of it. And I was like, Sika, baby.
That's a flex.
They
Yeah,
probably think you're a pro.
it was just
Yeah.
funny. I was like, did they
I mean, she gets
ask?
paid to hunt. Technically, she is a pro.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a pro, but I do like to have the best gear. And so, yeah, I mean, I would say majority of my stuff is the unisex stuff because if you get the right size, like it'll fit just fine. I mean, and like hunting clothes aren't, necessarily supposed to fit you like you're going to be this model on a runway, right? Another thing is like, we've talked about before, like women just do get colder than men. That's just like a biological fact. And so,
You stole my
having,
thunder. I was about to say that.
okay, yeah. So just having like things like, I don't know, that like one thing, like I would say a mistake that I took a long time ago was just layering as much as possible. Like you don't need to layer as much as possible if you have the right clothes on.
You need to
And
layer
so
correctly.
right, correctly. It doesn't have to be 20 layers. It can be 3 layers. And as long as like you're wearing the right thing, it could be 2 layers depending on what it is.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite pieces that I wear every single time it's cold and I'm hunting is the ambient jacket. That one, the
Landon
hoodie,
preaches that.
oh my gosh, it is like the warmest thing ever. And I don't even have to wear anything else under my big coat if I have that.
I just got one in cover, and I'm pretty pumped about it.
Ooh, I got
Landon
one.
actually, Landon zapped that thing up, and he was like, "You need this," and handed it to me, and I was like, "All right."
I
Once
actually
you wear
got
it,
it.
it's
Yeah, I got it at the last event y'all had. I was like, yep, need that in this pattern now. But yeah, I've got that in every color too. So I'm prepared.
You do have a vast array of clothing. Then that's
I
impressive.
do. Yeah, and like a lot of it has been on the Sitka buy sell trade, but most of it I've just like gone in the store and I literally can't help myself. So
I think you bring up a good point with mistakes that hunters make. So I made the mistake too. I think all of us have getting into our journey. We think I've got to buy a bow, I got to buy tags, I got to buy arrows, I got to do this, I got to do that, and then we jip on the thing we wear.
mhm.
And I mean, Barclow talks about it all the time, and I want to clear this up because I have this conversation being a CrossFit gym owner. People from people that are not in the CrossFit world, or I'll even zoom out a little bit more, the boutique fitness world, they think like, oh my God, CrossFit's expensive. Yes, it can be, but you're paying for much more than just a gym. You're paying for much more
Yeah.
than just equipment. You're paying for much more than just a workout. You're paying for all of the years that we trained and we learned at every seminar we've ever been to, everything that we've ever done, all the experience we have to bring you this product. It's the same thing. Like John Barco has a rap sheet. Everything that we've got on, Landon's hoodie, my shirt, I mean, down like to the Fanatic or the Incinerator gear I have sitting over here, that was a product of all of the hard work and life he experienced to get to where we are today. So yeah, it's going to cost a little bit more money because it's got so much more technology and experience put into the design.
Right.
And I think that's where people make the most amount of mistakes is they go cheap and they end up hating their life
Being freezing cold. Yeah.
because they're cold.
Right.
Or
If you're like me, like I grew up, I just had hand-me-down stuff. My dad grew up poor, so I think it's like in his DNA to just kind of like use what you got. But I would go into the stand looking like the Michelin Man. I literally would put on as much as I could and could barely climb the ladder stand. But the older I've gotten, and now that I've worked with Sitka and get to wear some good gear, it makes the world a difference. And it gives you like a little, confidence edge too.
It
Like
does. And like,
you're wearing the best stuff, so that's not even a question.
yeah, and like it could affect your performance. Like
Yeah.
you said, like if you're like the Michelin Man and you're trying to draw back on a bow and you literally, it
It's not
reminds me
happening.
of the Christmas story when the guy's like, I can't get up.
Yeah, that's what I look like,
You know,
seriously.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
so it can affect your performance or how comfortable you are. I mean, I also like I waterfowl hunt a lot and like a lot of times they'll be in these layout blinds and some of these girls are just like sadly they're wearing them like most like the biggest things ever, and then they can't pull up and get out
Yeah.
of their blind, and so or like, turning and lifting your arms. Like I've been in a spot before where I literally like couldn't pull my gun all the way up because I'm like stuck because this is like too tight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, and like you have to also think about like how often you're hunting, like how long or like how long you're wanting to keep your gear. Like my gear's lasted forever and like during turkey season I go pretty hard on my gear, and so like to say that I've had the same gear since I started turkey hunting in 2020, it's 2026 now. I'm adding gear but I still wear the same gear, and so like gear that lasts is way more important to me because I don't want to consistently be having holes in my clothes or just things, I don't know what, threading off. What am I trying to say? You know what I mean?
Falling apart. Like you want it to be able to keep
Right.
up. It's an
Yeah,
investment. Barco and I
it
talked
is an
about that on
investment.
that podcast. It's an investment. You're investing in your safety, you're investing in your comfort, and if you get the right gear, you're investing in your future in more ways
Yeah.
than one. But I'm not going to dive back into that. What do you think? So we've covered a lot of topics from money to gear to knowledge. Like, what do you think intimidates hunters the most when they want to get in? Male, female aside, what do you think the biggest misconception or barrier of entry is for people to take that first step into a hunting career? Not career, but hobby.
I think a lot of people just have, like we kind of talked about earlier, fear of failure, but also just not having the knowledge. Like I'm really grateful that I went and found knowledgeable people and a resource for myself, but a lot of people just don't have that resource. And like there's just things that I would not have known if I tried to do it all on my own.
Yeah.
Like having someone as a resource to help you get started and understand things is so valuable. Like I remember whenever I was learning, I was at Bass Pro and some of the guys were telling me about, like Grapevine Lake, you can hunt it, but like you have to be in the water to hunt it. So I was like, what? Like you don't have to be in it at this lake. Okay, but at this lake you do. Like if I had not known that, what if like I could have been in a situation where like a game warden pulls up and they're like, you're not following the law. And then I'm like, oh gosh, I'm sorry, I'm new to
Yeah.
hunting. And then they're like, okay, well, you need to do your research more, So
Negligence
luckily,
is not an excuse.
right, exactly. So I'm just really lucky that I had people to pour into me who were knowledgeable about it. And so I would just say, yeah, like intimidation, fear of failure, fear of looking dumb. Like I know a lot of like I even remember when I first started hunting being afraid to post myself holding a gun because I was like, am I holding this right? Like, does this look right? Like, are people gonna be like, you're not even, shouldering it up right? Like I remember having that fear of like, I'm not even gonna post me holding it because I'm scared that people are gonna, criticize me. And
Yeah.
so I was just really lucky to find community and people who wanted to help me.
I got you. That's I think that's you said social media and it like rattled something in my brain. People don't realize that that's one of the best ways to grow your business right now.
Oh yeah.
And it's not like, I had a buddy of mine reach out and say something about me posting on the podcast and he's like, "You just love hearing yourself talk, don't you?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm trying to grow something and the best way to grow a podcast is social media." Same
Yeah.
thing with anything. Like if they're going to scroll, I want them scrolling onto something that's going to educate them. And if it's a female and she's wanting to get into hunting, you guys got to be on social media. So those people
Yeah.
that are like, "Oh, you're just doing this for attention or you're not even holding it right." Shut up.
You're
Yeah.
Stop running
always
your
gonna
mouth.
have
And
haters. You're always gonna have haters, especially if you're
always.
trying something and
If
you
you're
Mhm.
going
can't
against the
really.
grain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because there's
Exactly.
people, like you said earlier, there's ladies that are like, "You guys shouldn't get into hunting." Look here, little Miss Small Brain. There is no reason that you have to get mad at me for doing something that you can't do or you're
Yeah.
too scared to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's super inspirational, not just for female hunters, but also new hunters. Like
Yeah.
this same methodology, everything you're saying, um, down to mistakes and knowledge and barriers of entry and how to get involved more, how to make a bigger difference, that applies to male and female hunters. New, experienced, pros, all
Hmm.
of us. It's kind of our job to not be so we use this analogy a lot in Christianity, closed fist. Like we
Yeah.
want to be open fist. Like we want to
Mhm.
we want to be able to let this knowledge flow from us. And I
Yeah.
think as experienced hunters, I call myself the Bill Dance of hunting. Do you know who Bill Dance is?
Oh yeah.
He's like that
I
comedic
could see that.
fisherman
I
that
could see
screws
that.
up more times than he succeeds, but he learns a lot and he's
Yeah.
still really good at it. That's the most important thing from this joke.
Really good.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But I think us not being afraid, us being the experienced hunter, not being afraid to share our experiences, our failures, our learning curves with
Mhm.
other people. Because
Right.
there's nothing worse than a hunter that has a good spot and doesn't want anybody to learn about it, or
Yeah.
has this particular trek of public land that they usually have all to themselves and not share any of the bounty. You ain't got to tell them exactly where you hunt, but you could tell them how to hunt and you could tell them what to look for. It's back to that same analogy of you can teach them to fish, or you can give them a fish and feed them for a minute, or you can teach them to fish and feed them for a lifetime.
Right.
I we need to do a better job of not worrying so much about how it's going to affect us and sowing into other people for the future of the sport.
Yes. I
Um, I
agree.
don't I don't know if you two saw this. I think I talked to you a little bit about it, Landon. Podium archer Josh Jones, I think that's his name, out in Oregon. He owns a bow shop in Oregon and Nashville. He he was on a podcast talking about the average age of a quote unquote bow hunter, so archery hunter. Unfortunately, crossbows are included in the archery component. For what reason, I don't know, don't care. But anyways, he was saying the average age of a bow hunter, an archery compound bow hunter, is in the low 50s, maybe high 40s. The average age of a crossbow hunter is in the low to mid 30s. Archery hunting, if this trajectory keeps happening, bow hunting is technically going to be extinct one day,
Yeah.
on average, because people are chasing what's easy, what's exposed to them. I think from a future development standpoint, it's our job as experienced hunters to get people exposed to these things, get people exposed to shooting a bow, put the crossbow away, and let's do the hard thing.
You're
You
right. Yeah.
talked you talked about earlier how these lessons that we learn out in the woods kind of apply at home. And you and I were talking about in the prep call, doing the hard thing, choosing to do the hard thing, learning how to fail, being uncomfortable in the woods, being cold, being wet, um, heck, there's been some days where I want to just be straight up poopy pants when I'm 4 or 5 miles from the truck and I have to walk back and I've got this heavy load on my back and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I just want to be mad about it.
Yeah.
But knowing that I chose that, I put myself in that situation. The only thing that I can do is do it.
Yep.
That applies so much more. And to me, there's nothing more, um, impactful than going up against a wild animal that God designed to survive.
Mm-hmm.
It is literally looking for all the factors. A deer is using its nose. It's looking for slight bits of movement. It's checking scent trails. It's literally checking for predators every single time it takes a step. And it is our job to overcome that, to find not the slip, because Rupert says you don't catch them slipping. you it is our job to be so skilled in our craft, which kind of elevates you in your human nature a little bit to overcome that animal. And
Yeah.
I think people are missing out on a prime feature of being an adaptable top of the food chain human when they don't take that on, when they don't like look at that from like an advantageous standpoint and they look at it from a task standpoint.
Right. I
So
agree.
I think that us as experienced hunters, like we got to do a better job of providing that information.
Yeah, and
And
challenging people like to
well,
do hard things.
well also taking on people. Like
Yeah.
if I think I've actually had this at the gym. I've had people ask about getting into hunting, and I've done a terrible job of saying, "Why don't you come with me?" And like, "Why don't you let me teach you the ropes?" I've taught them how to scout. We'll go out in the woods, and I'll teach them how to look for stuff. But I've never actually said, "Why don't you come experience this with me?" Um, and I think that's where we could do a better job and make it clear, like, "Hey, I'm not inviting you to come hunt here from now on, but you can come experience with me and see if
Yeah.
this is something you want to get involved in."
Yeah.
And if you're going to do that, make sure it's somewhere like November 1st to the 12th so they get some real action. Because most of the time, you see nothing.
And a lot of people, like, they don't know anything about hunting, like Jaycey, they didn't grow up hunting. So it's like very foreign to them. And they're like, why would you get up at 4 a.m. to go hunting? They don't understand it, but they'll, sit and watch TV and doom scroll all day. And it's like, you just don't realize what you're missing out
Yeah.
on. Like, I've
That's all
had
they know.
Yeah.
walking to the stand, like being a Christian, like my talks with God, it's like I've almost had out of body experiences, like,
Amen.
just enjoying his creation. It's amazing. Like, there is bad days, there's sucky days in hunting, but like just being out there and, you know, enjoying all that, it's hard to describe to someone, and I have trouble doing it myself. Like, how do you like tell someone about hunting that has no clue about it and get them interested in it?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard, because
It's
they
hard.
just don't understand until you experience it.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that because my business partner at the gym, he didn't grow up like I did. I grew up, farmland, riding four wheelers, hunting, and he didn't. He lost his dad early on, so he didn't have that same. He didn't grow up around the same group
Yeah.
of people that I did. And he always says like one day I'll go hunting with you, and he's like, without you I would never get into hunting. And that's like, we have a bigger impact than we believe because those people around us are, it's kind of like what we're supposed to do as Christians is we're supposed to walk in a way that gets people curious about where our strength and joy comes from.
Hmm.
And it's the same way with something like this. Like, this isn't pickleball. This isn't tennis. This isn't bowling. This
Yeah.
is us getting out and challenging ourselves. Let's call a spade a spade. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's one of the harder things you'll ever do. But the human you become because of it, both spiritually, mentally, physically, it it doesn't rival. There is no rival for it in anywhere. And I'm a part of the CrossFit cult, and I can say there is no rival.
Yeah.
Um, but the community aspect of it. So what we're talking about now is like the mentorship, the mentor mentee community experience, leaning heavily into the unexperienced or the new person community and culture are huge to me. And I literally built a gym off of those two factors. Um, and I want as many people as possible to witness the delirious conversations that we've had on the side of a mountain after we
Yeah.
just got our butt kicked by a bull or a deer or a bear. Landon's going to experience it for the first time here in Virginia. He's going to realize how much don't stop talking. But one of the missions behind this podcast is to bring people into that sense of community, because that's part of why
Yeah.
all of us love this so much. Landon gets to have these conversations at the store every single day. You get to experience it with a bunch of ladies all throughout the year, and you get that community aspect. And I think that's just part of being a human, is you want to be tied to something bigger than yourself.
Yes.
You want to say, I am a part of this group of guys that go out and challenge themselves every single year in the Elkwoods. You want your girls to say, I am a part of the Sisterhood of the Hunt, and we did something really hard and challenging together.
Hmm.
And I think that's why this podcast is so important, is because we're bringing people in onto why this is so good for you.
Yeah.
Um, but in your opinion, am I speaking something of the truth here, or is that like kind of like one of the foundations of Sisterhood of the Hunt as
Yes.
well?
Yeah. And like, I don't know, like obviously the hunting is such a huge part of like what we're doing. Like we want to become more knowledgeable about the sport and about the animal that we're hunting or the fish that we're fishing and the land that we're on. I mean, like it's really cool, like all the different places we get to go and experience. But where I'm at in life and like my journey with the Lord is I would rather sit down and connect with people and see people accept the Lord than shoot a duck. And
Yeah.
so that's where
This is
I'm
an
at.
opportunity that you would never have before to
Right.
have that conversation with
Exactly.
people.
Like
You
this
could be
is
the
one of
Phil
those places.
Robertson of the female community.
She's
You
the
realize
K
that?
Robertson, Miss K.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot, I wish I could cook like that lady. It's really a special place to like get to have that opportunity, like my husband's really lucky he gets to have that opportunity like with his players and his team, like because naturally like it's just a big group of people that get to gather all the time. And so for Sisterhood, like we have a lot of girls who come back and they come often. Like we have a lot of, we call it regulars, and we've become such good friends with these girls. Like and we've all like impacted each other so well. Like this last trip I just had was so beautiful. Like the girls are just like all open-minded and all happy to listen about other people's lives and just like giving each other life advice and like hearing about what they've gone through in life, and like all those things have nothing to do with hunting. So that's what's really unique is like we can gather because we have like something where we're like-minded, like hunting or fishing, but we can really talk about the important life stuff and like how we can connect. But we're also like, by the way, none of us are from the same state, or like, some of us like grew up differently. Oh, like we have a 22-year-old, but we have this 22-year-old connecting with a 45-year-old lady who has a kid her age.
Yep.
Like it's so unique and cool. And I don't know, like the hunting part to me, like when we started this was really important, but like that's not even where it is anymore because I feel like I've grown and like we've grown and we just want people to experience other people,
Hmm.
um, and just connect with others. Like it's so important. And like you said, like as Christians, like if we're walking the walk, like people are going to become
Yeah.
curious about like why, like what is bringing them joy. Well, something that brings me joy is like the outdoors. And while going outside is not a replacement for like my church community or anything, but I can be an example of my church community with these ladies. And some of them, may know about God and about Jesus, but maybe they like you're the person they've been waiting on and to plant that seed
Yep.
furthermore. And so the hunting community is such a beautiful space to do that because there's so many people, and like I don't know, you're kind of something you were saying earlier just reminded me like because people, you're like, well, how do you get these people interested? I feel like I remember there were people who hunted like when I was in high school, but like those people were almost seen as like, like they're kind of weird. Like those are the hunter. Like I remember there was a girl
Yeah.
in high school who
That was just a
hunted.
Tuesday at my high school.
Yeah, right. Well,
Seriously.
Camo
I'm
was
from
our
Sydney.
like color.
Yeah, right. Like I'm from a big city and people definitely thought that was bizarre. Like when I started fishing in high school, people were like, "Oh, like she's a country girl." Like and it was like almost like a down like the people were saying it to like put me down like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
and it's like you're
you're not like
dumber.
the rest
Yeah,
of us."
you don't have you have a fourth grade reading level.
Right, literally.
Yeah.
Like people just were that way, but now that I'm in this space, I'm like, these are the coolest freaking people ever. And
Hmm.
like
Definitely the most
it's
resourceful.
yeah, and it's literally I'm always just when people ask me, I'm like, don't you like when the if an apocalypse happened or like zombies came out, wouldn't you feel good if you could go like gather
The
food for your
classic question.
family? You know,
Yep.
I'm like, that's such a great feeling. So
Don't come to me because you're gonna be starving for a while.
oh man, yeah,
No, I think you got to iron something out here though. A good mentor, a good community is everything when learning to do this. When getting plugged in, don't trust social media. Social media is a great way to get you exposed, but like the Levi Morgans, the Cam Hanes, the John Dudleys, the Josh Bomar, Dan Staten with Elk Shape, all of those guys, they're going to talk, they're going to make you look easy. But they're really good at it. They've been doing this for a really long time. You cannot weigh yourself against that.
yeah,
So number one, you can't use social media as a guide. Number two, you need someone like you said earlier. Like I want to like I have a mentor that helps me elk hunting. I can just call him up. I can ask him like I can debrief. Matter of fact, I debriefed every single elk hunting trip I've gone on with him, and he just cashed in a bunch of points and called and debriefed with me, and we talked through scenarios, what could be happening, what couldn't happen. And I think you need to find someone local that will take you under their wing and teach you these things. Because if
mhm,
you trust social media, yeah, you're going to get a lot of tips and tricks, but that doesn't mean A, it works in your area, but also B, that you're going to apply it the right way. I
right,
mean, I think if you boil it down to simplicity, if you're deer hunting, learn what good habitat is and hunt the wind. Like
hmm
that's as simple as it needs to be. But people are overcomplicating it. You need to buy this O2 cover. You need to buy this pattern. You need to set up here at this time or day, and you need to check these charts. Like you're not getting a physics degree here. You're learning how to hunt an animal.
right. And that
Eh,
takes a lot of patience, and it should also take patience in your learning. Like you don't have to know it
yes.
all and have it all right away.
Yeah,
All
and you
right,
don't have to
Jason.
act like you know it all.
I got one for you. Like growing up, I love watching Michael Waddell, my hunting idol, Will Primos. Like those are my hunting idols. For like women, who do they look up to? Like, do you have
Oh, don't
a
say
certain
that.
someone? Like,
I would say like I didn't the hard part about this is I didn't grow up like watching that kind of stuff. You know what's
well,
funny
since you've
is
been into it, yeah.
so what's kind of funny is I remember when I got it, you know, started working at Bass Pro and I like started like seeing people on social media and stuff. And I heard it's just so funny. I remember some guys at my store being like, "Oh, like you know who Allie Butler is?" And I was like, "I don't know who that is." Fast
I just
forward a couple of
assumed.
years later, her and I are good friends, and our kids were born 4 days apart.
That's
And
awesome.
it's just funny, but now it's I'm really lucky because there are like girls who really experience and like famous in this area that I get to be friends with. And I don't know, I've had great conversations with and have asked advice from. And so there are like some girls like that where they're like pretty like big name hunters and fishermen and stuff. But it wasn't necessarily I do know like there's a couple girls who are like super, super famous, but I don't know. I feel like when I'm looking for someone like to ask advice to, it's someone I know that I can reach.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm
Pick
lucky
up
because,
that phone and call them. You got to be
right.
able to
And I'm
pick up the phone and
lucky,
call
yeah,
them.
because I feel like Sisterhood's kind of helped that because we do have a lot of women like that who do like respect our brand and stuff and are willing to like engage with us and stuff. So
Mhm.
we're really lucky.
I think that's one aspect of social media that has helped is especially in the female community is exposing females to more female outdoorsmen, outdoors women,
Yeah.
outdoors
Yeah.
ladies.
If you say
But
female outdoorsman, like that makes sense. So, Just saying.
Yes. I've not been known to be grammatically correct. But you said something a second ago. Like you were hinting at what makes like reliable advice and like someone that you can pick up a call. What traits make a good mentor in the outdoor world to
I
you?
think someone's
Because
got to
you've literally done this. You just
Yeah,
recently
literally.
did
I was
this.
gonna say, like, someone's got to be experienced. Like, you wouldn't be asking a bow hunter about waterfowl advice if they
Mm,
don't hunt waterfowl regularly, you know? So, I don't know. I would just say someone who is, like, I hate to say it, but well liked, like someone who
not
obviously,
egotistical.
yeah, someone who doesn't, have lots of enemies, just because it sounds like they have a hard time in community in general. And like, not every piece of advice someone gives you is a good piece of advice. So you have to find a good resource of good advice.
Hmm.
And so, like, I feel like it's clear that you can find, like, those people where you're like, dang, like everybody likes them. Like, what is it about them? Like, they just have peace and joy and hope in their life. And I feel like those are great people, and those people are kind of obvious.
Yeah.
And so, along with that, just being experienced and I don't know, willing to share about their failures, like just like in the Christian world, like I feel like you don't want to share about the embarrassing parts of your past and stuff, but that's what makes you relatable, and that's what makes people open up about their experiences. And so that's the
Yeah.
same thing with hunting. If someone's willing to tell you, "Oh, I've missed 3 turkeys in 1 year. Gosh dang, I had the worst year ever." But like, it doesn't make them less of a hunter. It honestly makes them more impressive that they're willing to share about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. 100%. I think you it doesn't matter. Like we talked earlier about like I've never been to like an outfitter camp or anything like that or like a guided camp. But, I could go in there and slay a giant bear and people are like, "Oh man, you're really good at this." And it's like, "No, you haven't seen all the times I've failed."
Right.
And we need more people to be vulnerable about that stuff
Yeah.
because if we want this sport to live, we have to get people getting into the sport. And they're not going to get into the sport if they think they're going up against a bunch of NFL linebackers.
Yeah,
They need
literally.
to know that these are normal people that have made a ton of mistakes, the same mistakes that they're going to make, and try and mitigate that as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you said something a minute ago, someone that's easily liked. I think that someone they can't be like narcissistic. They
Yeah.
have to be like a good person, and they
Open-minded.
have to they can't puff their chest up when you ask them for advice because then they're gonna make it seem like their word is law, and
Right.
they have to tell you, look, there's a bunch of resources out here.
Yeah.
However, this is what has worked and has not worked for me.
Hmm.
Like Rupert's done an amazing job of that for me and Landon. Landon's a lot better hunter than I am, but just being able to talk to him about deer movement
Yeah.
and bear and all these diverse things and him not say, well, this is what I've done to kill bear. He knows the animal so well. He said, this is what a bear looks for. Go do it. This
Hmm.
is what a deer looks for. Go do it. Go figure it out. And they're not like solving your problems for you, you know?
If you
Hmm.
think you're going to be successful every time, you don't need to get into hunting because
For real.
so Katie and I we started keeping a tab of how many times we hunted versus how many times we've seen deer and then how many times we actually harvested something. And I don't know what the percentages was, but it was pretty low. And it's like I used to sit before trail cameras. I would sit in a tree stand for 2 or 3 weeks and not even see a deer. And I
Yeah.
was just determined and obsessed to like prove myself that I can do this. But I've had so many failures. Like that's how you learn, and it's part of the fun of
Yeah,
hunting.
it is.
I think one of the major misconceptions, and I'm just going to say this and people are going to get mad about it, but I really don't care. It is so much more than just going and sitting out in the woods.
Yep.
You can't go in the woods right here and just start slaying deer because that doesn't mean they're there.
Yeah.
Just because there's a patch of woods up, all you people that don't know hunting want to joke
Right.
around and say, oh man,
They're
you
not
suck at
always
this.
readily available for you to shoot.
Yeah, just because you see them on the road when you're driving around at night does not mean that they're on the property that we have permission to hunt or we
Right.
have a tag. And there's so many more factors that goes into it. So the new hunter coming on, find a mentor that's going to encourage you to be patient and slow down Learn things one at a time, because if you drink from a water or a fire hose, you're gonna drown, and it's not gonna be that fun.
That's
Yep.
right.
But Miss Jaycey, thank you for this episode. That was so much
Yeah.
fun. We've
Thanks
got
so much for having me. Y'all are awesome.
it was a lot of fun. This is like I said, we talked for a long time, but this is something that's near and dear to my heart. But we got a couple really cool episodes coming up. Landon and I are going to be talking to a bunch of customers on Friday. One of his favorite things to do, talk to random people. Um,
I love
we're
it.
going to be coming live from the garage sale the first day. Boom, we open. We're going to pull a bunch of you from the line to talk to us about what gear you were coming in looking for, what your systems are this year, what hunts you have coming up this year, and some lessons you've learned. Episode 13, we're talking with Preston Mayer from First Form Outdoors. That's kind of like continuing this conversation a little bit, but the physical fitness aspect side of it and the nutrition side of, yes, even you stagnant whitetail hunters, you guys need to take care of yourself a little bit better. And then episode 14 is another home run with NC Wildlife whitetail specific biologist, Miss April Pope. Speaking of females in the hunting
Ooh,
industry,
I'm
she
listening.
is a bad mamma jamma, and Rupert has said that girl knows her stuff. So I'm really excited to talk to her. We got some really fun conversations coming from that episode to learn not necessarily where deer are going to be, but how they think and how they act. All right. So my goal with that episode is for people to go into habitat and look and say, okay, if I was a deer, what would I be looking for in this area? Um, but other than that, Miss Jaycey, thank you so much. We'll get you back on maybe after the season's over this year, and we can talk recap stuff.
Heck yeah. Awesome. I can't wait to see y'all at some expos here soon.
All
Yep.
right, Miss Jaycey, have a great day.
You too.